who's meant to destroy my spirit and make room for hers.
Hello and welcome back to Dark Static, a podcast where we talk about everything found footage and analog horror media. I'm your host, Alex Schiffer, and with me always is Zach.
I'm your co-host, Zachary Mahoney. What's up? How you guys doing?
And on this episode, we're going to talk about Mind, Body, Spirit, directed by Alex Henes and Matthew Merenda. Last episode, we did Milk and Cereal. I felt like doing this one next because I feel like both these movies are kind of related in some way. They both have to do with influencer culture and, modern content creation. So we're going to kind of be comparing the two, I think, throughout the show. We're also going to be comparing this to a lot of other movies that have come out, and because I think that Mind, Body, Spirit is kind of a unique case where it's not that it's not a unique film. I actually think it's a very unique film, but it also echoes a lot of other films that we've seen and that we'll talk about. But yeah, this is the first feature film from Alex Henes and Matthew Merenda. These guys started out by actually editing trailers and directing short films. There's not a lot of information about them. There's not a lot of interviews either, but there's a really good last podcast on the left interview with these guys, and I highly recommend you check that out. But yeah, I mean these are two new guys, much like some of the other past films we've talked about, like Corey Barker. Last time with Milk and Cereal. These are that guy was more established with his YouTube channel, and these guys are, fresh off of doing short films, crop of short films. They made this movie, Mind, Body, Spirit, which you can find now on Shudder. And yeah, I highly recommend going and watching it before listening to this episode. But let's talk about it a little bit. I feel like we're getting a current trend now of influencer horror.
Yeah.
And found footage is such a great way to explore that, and I feel like we're kind of in this new time for influencer horror, and it's a great time to do something like this. You have Milk and Cereal, obviously, but also movies like Deadstream. If you haven't seen that, I think that's also on Shudder. I really love that movie. Dashcam is also a little bit like that. There's also We're All Going to the World's Fair. I don't know if you've seen that movie, Zach, but I've got a lot of a lot of similar vibes from Mind, Body, Spirit to We're All Going to the World's Fair.
The sequel, not sequel, but the successor to that film, that same director, Jane Showbrun, I think is
who did I Saw the TV Glow.
Yeah, that is like, I already know that is one of my favorite movies ever made.
Yeah.
I am excited to go back and watch We're All Going to the World's Fair.
It's a very good movie. Funnily enough, I watched that movie for the first time in completely the wrong environment. I watched it with a couple friends after we just went to a bar, and we were like, let's all watch a movie. And I was like, I heard good things about We're All Going to the World's Fair. I thought it was going to, we all kind of thought it was going to be like a fine horror movie that, we could have fun with, after having a night out. And it's like, nope, that is not the experience you want watching
Is it actually anxiety inducing?
No, it's kind of just like this careful, meditative piece on internet isolationism. And when you're with your fucking boys trying to kick back and watch a movie, that might not be the right environment to
on a few burskies.
That might not be the right thing to throw on, but
fair.
If you're if you're in a theater or if you're alone, that's a great movie to watch and just ponder on. And yeah, that director is amazing. And yeah, so Yeah, I got a lot of similar vibes from Mind, Body, Spirit. It kind of covers similar themes of isolation, but also how vulnerable people are on the internet and everything, and how desperate they are to just like be something. But you also get other influences like Hereditary, Evil Dead. I just saw Presence, the recent Steven Soderbergh movie about the movie filmed from the point of view of a ghost. That also makes its way in here somehow. Have you seen that movie yet? It's really solid.
No.
It's really, really solid.
I've been meaning to.
I like that movie. I really like that movie a lot. Crazy what Steven Soderbergh is doing now. He's just kind of going all out and experimenting, and now he has a new movie out.
Just knocking it out of the park, doing like whatever he randomly decides to do, whatever he throws a dart at a board and hits like paranoid thriller in an insane asylum and like makes a banger. Like,
because he's such a
every single
competent
time
director that has like has the experience, and I don't know if I would consider to him to have like a mastery over his craft, but he's pretty fucking close.
He's probably like one of the most versatile filmmakers I can think of. Like at this point,
like he's not an auteur.
I don't expect any specific kind of movie from him.
No, exactly. Like he doesn't have one specific style. He's kind of just like this enigmatic director. And yeah, no, I think all of this just kind of leads into kind of what a lot of horror films do now. And I think some people might be catching on more and more to this and maybe getting annoyed by how samey it all seems. But the thing that like so many horror films now have something to do with generational trauma, which is baked into this film too. I think it does something more interesting with it, with its premise, but like all like the films I've mentioned before, like it's a little bit like Hereditary, We're All Going to the World's Fair. Those all have like similar themes of especially Hereditary. There's a ton of Hereditary comparisons with this movie. But do you think there's kind of like too much of a we're kind of overloaded with horror narratives about generational trauma?
Oh, yeah. Like that's I don't want to say overloaded because like variety is the spice of life. I never want to like say that we need less of any one specific thing, and
no
different artists can tackle different things, can tackle the same subject matter differently. But I do feel like so many movies within horror these days are about, not even these days, for the last decade, are about trauma. Subtextually, like the metaphor
trauma
is often about,
and found family. That's another one.
Yeah, and it always feels like a breath of fresh air when it strays away from that a little bit. And I feel like I would not notice it as much if it weren't for the fact that like I do feel like horror, the formats that it can be in, that it can be made in these days is a little restricted in that like it's often micro budget stuff or like an A24 horror movie.
Yeah.
And it's very rare that you get like the Jordan Peele like Nope, like this had like millions of dollars put into it. And also it's not a stupid disaster movie, like it's an actual honest to God like somebody trying to tell a good horror story. And so a lot of the feeling of those movies repeats. Like I loved Nosferatu.
Yeah.
But
Same.
I do feel like I've seen that kind of movie so many times.
What kind of movie would that be?
Just like under the surface, it's about like sexual liberation and like there's some like I think it's been like adopted by like there's a lot of feminist themes in there as well, gender dynamics. Even that director has made like movies about that before.
The Witch, yeah, being one of them.
Which is maybe that's me like simplifying things, but even just like the pace, it's not even just what it's about, it's like the pace of it, the feel of it is also similar to.
It really is just how you go about it, I guess. Like what level of filmmaker you are, because you can make a really good movie about obviously generational trauma, and it can exist in the, lexicon of modern generational trauma films. There's also, a lot of TV that covers the same subject matter. There's books that cover the same subject matter. And at a certain point, you kind of just consume so much of it. You believe like maybe this is the only thing that people have to say right now. And I can understand.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like, I think we're at an interesting point in history with, what the kind of subjects our media likes to tackle. And that's why I think like this movie, like Mind, Body, Spirit, it's again, like this movie is very simple and tight and maybe doesn't really matter as much as I am explaining it as, in the broader world of art and media. That's why I think found footage is, found footage finding its voice in the current world rather than being like, the same old paranormal film. And, there are parts of this movie that have that kind of vibe. Like certain scares are set up where it's like, you kind of seen them before. It's not that effective, but I think what it's doing underneath the surface is actually much more interesting. And that's kind of all I'm trying to really get at there.
No, yeah, I did find this movie interesting though. I liked this movie.
Yeah, what do you like? What are your overall thoughts on it?
I agree with you that like the literal scares were like they've sort of been there, done that before.
Yeah.
Or most of them. But I did still feel like this pang of like dread the whole way through. And I think the scariest stuff is actually like I think they do a really good job of communicating a harsh reality of being a millennial today or younger.
Being a millennial
and like
alone.
Yeah. Like that was some of the scariest stuff in the movie. Like more than the ghost stuff was just like battle that she is having internally is like genuinely, I mean, I guess like your mileage may vary depending on who you are as a person, but like I found it to be so unbearable. Like just so brutal.
Something just like crawling its way and like eating at you throughout the film, and it's like not even doing anything specific, but it's just like you are coming to a realization of something. You're coming to a realization of a truth that's being portrayed by the filmmakers, and it's getting somewhere.
Yeah, I think the main character pulled me through like the whole way. Like I think it's like a simple movie, but like I felt sympathy for that character.
Yeah, there are people that think the acting wasn't good in this movie, and I was like, weird. I don't know. That's kind of weird. I thought it was very good. I thought she was very convincing.
Maybe there's like moments where it doesn't like hold up all the time, but
even then, it's like
I don't know. I thought
even then, the whole point of that character is like just like someone desperately trying to put on new faces.
Yeah,
so
I mean, when she's in front of the camera and talking into it, which is, I guess, 80% of the movie, like where she's doing a performance of some kind. It is a performance, so you have to see the
even if like you're not convinced
performing.
Even if you're not convinced of the performance, it's like, well, that's kind of what they're doing. Yeah,
that's the whole point.
Yeah,
I don't know. I really liked that actress. I thought the actor. I don't. Her. I thought they're. Like,
the other fitness influencer, yeah.
Oh, that fitness on, yes, yeah. Like,
besides, I mean, there's only like 4 characters in this movie,
like 3.5, right?
And only 2 of them.
Well, I guess there's that guy on the ad who shows up.
Yeah, we'll get to that guy. We'll get to him, but well, I guess there's 3 because if you're, the ghost in the movie,
grandmother.
Of the grandmother, but there's only exchanged dialogue in a room between 2 people. But yeah, I I like this movie.
This movie too.
I thought it was a little simple. Just like just like the experience of watching it. It's not like Milk and Cereal, when we talked about it, I mentioned I just liked watching that movie unravel because I wasn't expecting anything. I wasn't expecting what would happen next. And I don't go into movies being like, oh, then this is going to happen, right? And then I don't do that. I
don't care if I know every step.
I don't care. Yeah. I don't care if I know the steps. But while watching this movie, I was kind of like visualizing the beats. That part, while that didn't really catch me, what I did really appreciate about Mind, Body, Spirit was just the unique ways it framed shots and made the camera sort of this objective way to present dream logic. Yeah, we'll get to that in certain scenes, but there's scenes where the camera is being controlled basically by a ghost, and it's used as an excuse to do some really cool things, set up some cool scares. There are shots that I've never thought of seeing in a found footage movie, making use of good blocking and things like that, where it all feels very staged. This movie never convinces you that it's something that you could find on the internet. This movie plays out like it is a movie. That's never something that, maybe it's a mindset that I need to get out of, where it's maybe not every found footage movie you see has to convince you that it's something someone actually found, or that it could be something that's real. The medium can explore other things than that. It is something that, might take you out. I feel like just in general, this movie is a container for some really great ideas without properly being better than it sets itself up to. But I enjoy the experience. I've watched it a couple times now, and I enjoy the movie a lot, and I think the directors are very, very promising.
For a first film, I feel like it's they really did a good job of tracking the character's journey. I feel like with this main character, I understood every thought that they were having and why they were having it throughout the entirety of the movie, and that is a really hard thing to do.
Yeah, I also thought the movie had a really good use of empty space, good use of color, different color. It's not, the colors in this movie aren't as vibrant as something like The Outwaters is, but there are certain primary colors. And listen, I'm not someone, if you don't know this about me, I'm colorblind, and I'm not someone to gauge symbolism in colors, because half the time I can't tell them apart. But this movie did stand out to me with certain primary shades. I can point out direct shades, the curtains in back of her are a certain color, and that matches with some of the books that are on shelves and that are in the attic. That I can point that out, and it's oh, that's interesting. So I can kind of trace that. Yeah, a lot of good use of empty space, kind of skinamarink. I'm literally just naming past episodes we've done and being it's a little bit like this, but it is. I think there's some truth in it, because there is a lot of just
Boss Baby.
There are it's exactly like that tweet, but there are just cuts to static shots of empty space, and a good use of framing the main character Anya in making the house just look really huge and intimidating. And I really appreciated that a lot. And overall, I think this is just a solid character study of this one character, Anya, just trying to make it through the internet age. And we learn more about Anya later on, and it kind of makes her story even more tragic. I love the presentation of just this desperate girl that's, doesn't really seem to have friends. She's very isolated in this big house by herself, and the only way to pass time is to try to make content. Yeah, and it just, I think it
try to make something of herself.
I said similar things about themes of that in Milk and Cereal too, and as we explore this movie further, I think we'll extract more from it, more specific things, because there's a difference between what they were doing in Milk and Cereal with prankster YouTube videos and this specific like health influencer culture, because they do stab at it pretty directly and in some genuinely funny moments. One that I even like laughed really hard at. And we'll get to that. But yeah, let's dive right into the plot here. Really explore the film here. If you haven't watched Mind, Body, Spirit yet, please go watch it. It's on Shudder. I'm going to spoil the entire thing. You should know that if you've listened to past episodes, what we're about to do. This is the plot summary courtesy of Letterboxd. Make space. Anya, an aspiring yoga influencer, as she embarks on a ritual practice left behind by her estranged grandmother. What starts as a spiritual self-help guide quickly evolves into something much more sinister. As Anya becomes obsessed with the mysterious power of the practice, she unwittingly unleashes an otherworldly entity that begins to take control of her life and her videos. Now Anya must race to unlock the truth before her descent into madness threatens to consume her mind, body, and spirit. By the way, Mind, Body, Spirit is a fantastic name for this film. I just want to point that out. It's so good.
Yeah.
I think my wife was, when I was watching this movie for the first time, my wife was in the other room. She doesn't like watching these things with me. She thinks they're garbage. I told her, she's like, what are you watching? I was like, I'm watching this movie for the show called Mind, Body, Spirit. And she's like, that's a really good name for a movie.
Somebody's fingers were smoking as they typed that.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, oh, fuck. God damn.
Yeah, the pen ignited.
What have I
flames.
done?
Yeah. Didn't you told me a little while ago about a movie, and I haven't watched this movie yet, but the title just like sold you. I think it was called like They/Them.
Oh, They/Them.
It's like, fuck, I want to watch that.
It's a thriller about a slasher film that takes place at a conversion camp. They/Them.
That's so good. If you ever want to judge a book by, that's the version of like the movie version of judging a book by its cover, judging a movie by its title.
It's like, you got to give it a shot just for that, you know?
Yeah, but yeah, Mind, Body, Spirit. They were definitely up to something with that title.
Good.
Just like, yeah, I feel like it's a movie where it's like it's the kind of concept where it's like you come up with the title first, and it's like, what about Mind, Body, Spirit, and it's a yoga influencer, and it's a horror movie. And it's like, yeah, well, let's run with that. So if you ever need,
we got to make the movie now.
Yeah, if you ever need like just a good exercise to think about new ideas, just kind of try to think that way. Just like it sounds like cheesy, but it's fun. But yeah, it works. But yeah, so we start off with the movie has this weird framing device, which I feel kind of conflicted about. Where it starts with in this dark room. It doesn't appear to be anywhere.
Oh yeah,
you recognize it. It's kind of CG. That's another thing about this movie. There's like one or two instances where there's CGI, and it's kind of whack. And this is how the movie starts. It's like this computer-generated room with a laptop. It's just sitting on a table in the dark, and kind of we click through the laptop, and it's supposed to be the dark web. And it's the framing device of this movie is that the movie is something we find on the dark web. I kind of wish it didn't start that way. I don't know. Because they don't really explore that aspect of the film ever.
Yeah, when I saw that, I immediately was like, okay, do these guys have like other short films or movies that I haven't seen that like use this framing device? So it's called Far Corners, this website that is sort of like a clearly supposed to be like the dark web. What would you call it? What is it inspired by? Like not like 4chan.
I don't know, just like a
deeper than that.
Tor browser list of websites. That's what, if you ever like looked up like what if you ever went on the dark web. No, but if you ever like, I don't know. If you know, you know. That's kind of what it looks like. It's just like a homepage full of links.
Yeah, that's very like late 2000s.
Yeah, it doesn't look like a modern. It's not supposed to. I mean, it's like you're not supposed to be on there anyway. But like, yeah, it doesn't represent like anything a modern website would ever look like. And it's funny. I just watched. There's this really good movie. Also on Shudder. We're not sponsored by Shudder, by the way. And I keep bringing up Shudder. It's just like where I watch.
They just got the fire.
They just got the fire. And I watched this movie on Shudder called Red Rooms, which is about the dark web. They have a really good way of showing like the interface of the dark web. It's really interesting. I would highly suggest you watch that movie. Not what I ever thought that movie would be, but awesome. Really good stuff.
I could throw in a recommendation for a good dark web movie too.
Unfriended Dark Web?
Watch. Unfriended Dark Web.
Zach loves bringing up Unfriended Dark Web with me, and I cannot wait to do that for a show.
Yeah. Oh, because you still haven't seen it, right?
I still have not seen it, no.
We're definitely covering that at some point.
At some point, yes, Zach, we will cover Unfriended.
I think
Dark
it's
Web.
better than the original Unfriended. I think it's legitimately like it's just a horror movie with no paranormal aspect to it. It's just disgusting dark web people, and they're scarier than ghosts. It's
Wait,
great.
You just sold me, honestly.
Yeah.
You really did.
But yeah, Red Rooms. I'm gonna check that out too.
Yeah, Red Rooms is really good. But yeah, we start off. So we have that weird framing device, but we get introduced to Anya. She's portrayed by this actress Sarah J. Bartholomew. Have you ever played the Life is Strange games?
I've played one of them.
Okay, well, she was in the second one. That's why I was.
Okay. I have not played that one, but only in the second one. Okay.
Yeah, so that's like she's not primarily a voice actress, so she's in other stuff too, but I thought that was the most notable thing.
Like most high profile, yeah.
Most high profile, yeah. I feel like Life is Strange would do, like, if it came out now, it would be gangbusters. Like, I feel like Life is Strange did not come out in the right time.
It has kind of a. This episode is about Life is Strange now. It has kind of a cult following because there's like 5 of them or something like that.
There's a lot, yeah. There's side story. There's like spin-offs, I think, too.
Yeah, I liked it. I thought it's like good cheesy. I mean, I guess like Gen Z.
Is it even?
Actually,
because
they don't really undefinable.
Really? Yeah. Like I didn't play that. I watched the first one.
Temporal plane of existence.
Yeah, really, because it's like a French guy's interpretation, like a 30-year-old French guy's interpretation of like what American teenagers sound like.
So yeah, so it's a combination of like 90s kids and millennials and a little bit Zoomers.
It wouldn't even be like Zoomers were like little children when that game came out. We were the Zoomers, Zach, because that game came out when I was in high school. I think I think I was in high. Yeah, I was definitely in high school.
It came out when we were in college. Maybe
you were in college and I was in high school. We're like 1 year apart, I think. No.
2015.
2015. It came out in 2015?
Yeah, it seems like it's older than that, doesn't it?
Really does. Yeah, no,
it seems like, right.
It seems like, because I remember like the Telltale games came out when I was in high school.
Yeah, that I remember I was playing in high school.
And I thought that was a similar time. I don't know. It all got thrown off for me. But yes, she was in that. She was in Life is Strange too.
I kept having a thing with the actors in this movie where I thought I knew them from places and then I didn't.
No, everyone's a complete
every single
unknown.
one of these
Yeah.
actors, I was like, I've seen Sarah Bartholomew before. I swear to God, I've seen this person before, and I simply haven't.
I say, yeah.
There's no there's
I've
no
seen
way in hell.
you maybe in my dreams.
Am I-
Have you ever dreamed of this one?
Grotesquerie?
Oh yeah, that's the new FX. That's a new FX show. Wait, is that Travis Kelce's in that show? Isn't he?
Oh my gosh.
Look that up for me real quick. Travis Kelce's in that show, right?
Oh, it's a Ryan Murphy joint? He is.
Oh yeah.
He is.
Oh yeah. A Ryan Murphy joint. Yeah, that's right.
Man.
Jesus Christ, that man.
Oh yeah, dude.
Anya is
This
an
looks
aspiring yoga influencer, aiming to establish a significant online presence. She relocates to her late grandmother Virasha's secluded home, intending to use this environment to film her yoga content. And this is where the use of empty rooms is done the best. I mean, most of the movie takes place in this room. Like most of the important events, I'd say, take place in this one room. And it's so dry and washed out. It has these this is what I was talking about with the color too. Like there's these defined washed out. Is it blue? I can't tell.
The
walls.
the main room.
Yeah, the main room in the first scene.
No. In the first scene, the one where the primary most of the movie takes place.
Most
or
of
a
the
good
movie
chunk of
takes
it does.
place. Yeah.
I don't. Let me take another look at it, but I don't believe it is. It's mostly a warm room.
It's mostly warm.
The wall behind her is blue.
It seems very, the wall behind, it's a very cold looking room. I wouldn't say it's warm. It's a very and just how they use the
the room has this feeling looking at it again that I only got when I was a kid and I went to a new house that I had never been to before, in another state where you are very small as a child. And so if a room is kind of empty and you're not really familiar with it, you're in your Florida uncle's place that they moved into a couple months ago, this gives me that liminal space feel of
1,000%.
I am not really familiar of how I got here. I fell asleep halfway through the car ride and woke up here. And
oh my God. It just feels like a fever dream.
This place doesn't feel, it's a little, the scale is off slightly.
Scale is off.
It's too intimate.
The way they
and she's sitting centered in it the whole time. It's too big for her.
It's too big. She has so much headroom. She looks very, that's what I was saying. The house is meant to look massive. And she's just very small. And it's just this intimidating presence without even doing anything spooky. I feel like they just set up the space in a way that unnerves you. In this scene, she's kind of introducing, and this is another instance, I talked about this in the Milk and Cereal review. I think it's interesting when people make up an audience they're talking to, because as of right now, Anya is not an established YouTube presence. She's not an established internet presence. We are seeing her in this room from the perspective of, we don't know this person at all. This person completely unestablished. That brings I feel like that makes it even more apparent, just the struggle, just the internal struggle that might be going on within her. She's doing this thing where she's trying out her best presentation voice, and she does it over and over again. It's this struggle to be sincere, which I think this movie taps into a lot, actually. But yeah, while she's filming, she's doing a few yoga poses, and she's trying to be a yoga instructor, or it seems online yoga influencer, but online. But like she's also more of like a wellness person too, like and all that, what all that combines basically. And while she's setting up her filming space, Anya uncovers a concealed room in the house. All this kind of just happens immediately. It's a pretty good setup. Inside, she finds this journal that's addressed to her. And it's filled with these practices, which she interprets as spiritual guidance left by her estranged grandmother. And it's like, oh, I can use this now for content. And she's intrigued and decides to incorporate these practices into her routines. It's funny because like it's what she thinks will like that's what will give her the authenticity, that because she's trying to put on all these voices and just trying to go about it how normally how everyone else would do it, but it never seems right to her, which I thought was endearing and very interesting. She also in these first couple of scenes just comes across as like very vulnerable, and that becomes incredibly apparent later on too, with what we find out about her. But that was definitely one of the more intriguing parts about the movie to me. But yeah, we get this whole attic scene where she kind of just discovers this hidden room, and she like pulls back this blanket, and there's all these candles on the floor and these weird symbols everywhere. It's kind of, again, like this is movie logic where it's not like this all looks insanely wrong. Instead, she's like, ooh, something I can use, which rings more true to me now, which I accept way more in movies now, just based off how people act. And I went about that, explaining that in the Milk and Cereal review too, where it's like, yeah, people film everything all the time. Like, why would you ever stop filming? And now it's like, yeah, people don't really act normal anymore. So yeah, I can totally accept her, stumbling across this and trying to use it to her advantage.
Yeah, no, I think it's totally believable. I think people are going to be filming like a bomb going off.
A 1,000%. Yeah. If that already doesn't exist on Live Leak or something.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Especially because this entire time, I think this is an important part of her character, like she is very connected to this sense of culture that her grandma represents. And so I'm sure as she's up here, like looking around at things, she's just interpreting it through the lens. Oh, this is my grandma's weird, Russian or Serbian stuff.
Yeah.
This isn't cult stuff. This is just like
Slavic magic.
Probably like Eastern European stuff. Yeah.
She made Cruelty Squad.
Oh my God, I love Fear and Hunger. Yeah. I love Fear and Hunger. It's like my favorite game. This is so Fear and Hunger.
This is so Fear and Oh my God.
That's what she was saying.
No, yeah, I think it's funny because like it's not established that she knows anything about that in real. Like actually, like it doesn't. Like she doesn't really. We don't really see her actually like knowing anything about that, but or even like caring about her grandmother in the first place, other than the fact that she gave her this house. But I think that's a fun way of like showing like the influence of the older generation, or the older presence in the house right away, because she's going into it, she's already kind of convinced because of just like the whole mind state that she's in, and she's away from her family, and she's looking for anything to connect to. So this all kind of tracks for maybe the person that we perceive as Anya being in the first few minutes here. The attic scene is cool. I mean, like found footage attic scenes, I feel like are a thing, and I can think of a couple right away off the top of my head that I particularly like. This is a good one. I mean, this is a very full attic that you can like walk around in, and it's just a good way. Like I love I love the flourish of like the dust particles rising up out of the floor. It just looks ghostly without being inherently ghostly. I mean, there are like in this scene, there is like a hidden ghost in the background, but
Yes, I was gonna say they do that a few times throughout the movie.
yeah, sometimes it's good. Sometimes it's like, I see you.
Yeah, some are better than others. There's one in like a scene coming up in that main room that I think is pretty good and like kind of hidden.
Yeah. There's also like splicing effects too, where like sometimes it's in reflect. Yeah, we'll get to all that. It's used good, and then like other times, yeah, it's like, I see you right there. It's not really, you're not really hiding from anyone. But yeah, this is also the first use. Yeah, so she goes back down and tries to use the book, and she introduces like, "Hey guys, this is my grandmother's book." Like, and you know, she tries to do some, she tries to read from it, but this is also the first time we get this. I guess one of the movie's main gimmicks, which is this 360 camera shot, which she has the camera set up in a certain way, and it also rotates like it's on not a gimbal, but Zach, you know more about this than me. But what piece of tech would this be called?
I don't know, dude. Fucking
right.
some kind of fucking like probably on a stick.
Oh,
They probably got
fucking
that shit on
stick.
the end of a stick, just moving it left or right. It probably is a gimbal.
Yeah, it's on some kind of gimbal, and it slowly rotates around, and it shows another room in the house that's just empty, and then comes back slowly to Anya in the main room. And the movie does this a couple times, and it sets up. It kind of does the same scare a few times, but it also is used more interestingly in other shots. But now it's just kind of showing you like, oh, this is going to be something that you're going to, be anxious about. Like whenever this camera moves, some shit's going down. It reminds.
I correct myself. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
It might be a jib.
A jib?
It might be a jib. Just because it's so smooth. I mean, I don't know.
It is
Maybe
very smooth, yeah.
maybe high end gimbals can do that, but it goes. I feel like at different points in the movie, it goes at pretty different elevations. Like it goes from pretty high to low. I feel like it's some sort of small crane.
I will say what that gets me thinking about is this movie is very static. It's very still shots with slow movement. It's not like, usually in found footage movies, there's a lot of shaky cam just by the, fact that people are holding cameras.
That's a good point. Yeah, like
this is
that's
a very
kind of the
like
antithesis to a lot of found footage.
Yeah, and this is a very like it's a uniquely like steady looking film, and I feel like that sets you off more. I feel like that adds to some of the unnerving aspects of the film. Like you can perfectly make out everything in the frame almost at all times, and it gets you looking into corners and looking at specific objects. It's they definitely did a good job of like keying in on what you can focus on. Another thing I want to say about that type of that specific shot too is it reminds me of Paranormal Activity 3 with the and that was a like clever thing too, because they wanted to show two different rooms and they were rotating. They used a fan, like one of those like rotating fans. They attached a camera to it and it showed like the living room and the kitchen like back and forth, and it's like when it pan away from one, pan to the other, it creates this like unreal tension. And we'll talk about Paranormal Activity 3 at another date, but that's what this is eliciting too. Did you play Layers of Fear?
I did not. This is the one with all the paintings.
Yes, there is a really, really good scare in Layers of Fear that this also reminded me of, where like a face is slowly coming at you. Oh my God, it's great. But yeah, so after this, we get the introduction of Anya's mother, who she calls her by her first name. They don't seem to be very, very close at all. And she kind of warns Anya about Varasha, her grandmother. Don't really, don't tamper with any of that. I don't think the mother knew anything about what the grandma was really doing. Always knew she was kind of, she was ostracized for a reason. It does no help that Anya is, not close with her, really not close with anyone in this movie anyway. After this conversation happens, we get an ad, and I swear to God, I was about to lose my shit because I really believed that Shudder had implemented, for a second, like Shudder had implemented ads, because you get the countdown.
Hey, also, Alex, I had the same reaction. Where I was like,
really thought.
Like, my brain went into, like, I reached so fucking fast for that remote control.
Yeah.
Just by default, I don't care. I don't give a shit. I don't care.
Fuck it. Yeah.
Oh, give me my life back.
Give me my movie back.
I can't believe I fell for it. I thought about it for like 5 seconds and was
Same.
like, okay, of course.
And it does the thing where like in the like the right hand corner, it goes like 3, add in 3, 2, 1, and it cuts to something else. And I'm like, no, they didn't. They didn't start implementing ads.
Agitated.
I was
like reflexive.
Oh my God.
Agitated.
But this ad introduces Kenzie Fit, who actually her Anya's mother knows and wants to, team up with her. She's more of like Kenzie Fit is like supposed to be an antithesis to what Anya is. She's a very successful like workout influencer. We see one of her ads and it's this very like overproduced thing. And she's trying to be like motivational, like you can do it, like that sort of thing. We get that, and then we see her with Anya. And when they're together, she's trying to do like collab content with her. And Kenzie doesn't really jive with Anya's spiritualism, especially with the fucking book, which she doesn't really know about the book yet. But they don't jive well at all. They have no chemistry. And she's just kind of like, throughout the whole thing, she's just kind of sitting there like, all right, what do we do? What do you want to do? And just like on her phone immediately, like when they're not filming. Immediately you see this character and you know exactly what they are, or what they're supposed to be. It's a good foil, I'd say, I guess, for Anya. Because at the end of the day, like, this is what Anya wants to, like, this is why she's doing what she's doing. Like, this is ultimately like what you would end up as if she continued on the path she was. Forget about all the horror, forget about all the spiritual shit, and forget about all the like ghost stuff. Like, at the end of the day, like, that's what Anya would end up as if she was successful with what she was doing. After that kind of goes terribly wrong, Anya kind of just continues using the journal for the routine, and she meditates for the camera. It spins again. This time it shows a figure. There's a shot after this in the bed, and with Anya in bed watching she's watching Kenzie's videos on her phone. I love this like this like couple seconds of this shot here, because it's just like, did you see anything in the doorway? It's Anya framed in bed, and they never go back to this either. It's Anya framed in bed in like the very bottom right-hand corner of the screen, and then just like open space with a doorway and everything. It looks great. The only light is like reflected by her phone screen, and she sees, and you can see her face, and there's just like, you can make out like shapes and things. I don't think there's actually a ghost in this scene, but like if you were going to put one there, like you would do it, but they don't. And
You would do it.
you would do it.
I don't think there is one.
No. That fucked with me for a little bit. I was like, wait, I rewinded it. I was like, is there something there? And there wasn't. And that was more effective than the last scene with the spin, with the, rotating camera and the figure sitting in the chair.
Yes, yeah.
That's
Just so sad. Like it
is sad.
I hate seeing her like this. I hate seeing her like this.
It's also
I don't know. It bothers me.
I know, and it's also such a good visual representation of there's there are moments where you're in bed just staring at your fucking phone completely in the dark, and
yeah,
the way they use the open space and the way they're showing her as she is in this kind of darkened, isolated state, that's how you feel when you do that. It's this very depressive thing, and it's a great way to show her state of mind without really even saying anything, which is a really is another really positive thing about this movie too. Besides, I'd say the end, so much of this movie is communicated non-verbally.
Yeah.
And it's really, really effective until there's a scene at the end I don't really like that much. But they do a good job of just visualizing who Anya is without her saying to you who she is. And yeah, I really appreciate that. This also reminds me of another. This is a very World's Fair. We're all going to the World's Fair scene too, because there's scenes in We're All Going to the World's Fair where she's in bed just sitting on her phone, under covers watching videos, and it's also this a very isolating feeling you're supposed to get.
Especially because she's watching this person who the entire point is that her name's Kenzie.
Kenzie, yeah.
Kenzie is the antithesis of her, because at least from our perspective, she doesn't really care about, well, she says as much later, she doesn't really care about authenticity.
Yeah.
And that is the opposite of what Anya cares about.
Yeah, when she's in the previous scene, she's no one cares about who you are, really.
And this is Anya kind of falling for the things that draw in Kenzie's viewers. It's there's no reason she would be watching that other than to try and mentally take notes on why she is successful and how she can harness that herself. I feel like we've all kind of done that at some point. But
yeah, try to it's using, I don't know, taking your influences and just, instead of trying to do something on your own with them, you just kind of mimic what they do, because that's what you think people want to watch, the reason.
That's all that Kenzie's doing too. She says I'm just following the algorithm, basically. I'm hitting this beat and this beat because this is what I'm supposed to do. And Anya's well, that sucks. I don't want to do that.
Yeah,
I want
that
this to have
sounds
some
like a
sense
total
of meaning.
drag.
Yeah.
That's how I feel all the time when I make stuff. It's just I know what I'm supposed to do, but I don't
Nobody wants to do that. Nobody. There's some things in life that are more important than success, and that's dying with dignity.
We're all going there anyway.
Yeah, we're all on the road to hell, so you might as well,
Oh my God,
miss it by.
I do think one last thing about this scene. It is kind of weird that the camera is filming right now.
Oh yeah,
but there is
it's a ghost.
There are certain, it's a ghost. A ghost did it. A wizard did it. After this, there's a honestly pretty frightening scene, I thought, where downstairs it cuts to downstairs. And this is pretty much ghost cam at this point, and a figure in a mask opens the hidden doorway where the attic is that was in the room. This also never comes up again. We see Varasha and her ghostly form. This doesn't resemble that. This is something else. It seemed like it was really it's just a person in a mask just standing in a dark doorway, which it's funny because it's really not that hard to scare me when you do certain things, but also like I'm very like specific about what scares me. And for some reason like that just works. But also I don't know why I don't really know what's happening here.
The mask is fucking terrifying. Like the mask is
really scary.
It's genuinely like blood curdling. Like it's I think that's half the work right there. But yeah, you think that's like somebody I interpreted that as the grandma wearing the mask, like a ritualistic mask.
A ritualistic.
Think that's something else?
Yes, and is there a part yeah, that makes sense. And is there something that she shows in the book that might have something to do with a mask? I don't remember though. And I've seen this movie like 3 times now.
I don't recall.
By the way, this movie is easy to watch because it's another like 80-minute film. It's super tight. It's really short. And it's funny because like it's perfectly timed with another ad that starts to play. And this is the funniest part of the movie. Because you get that counter at the bottom and another ad starts to play. It's a character we never see in the movie. It's this guy and he's selling this product called Earth Energy. It made sense.
He used to be like a Wall Street banker.
Yeah,
or
he's like he starts out. He's like, I used to be a financier on Wall Street, and then I completely like threw all that away and traveled the world, and now I'm selling you crap, which is a fucking hilarious pair. Like that is someone. That's a lot of people probably, and
that feels like that's half the internet.
It really
now.
Is just selling crap, and like making light of like, you know, I used to be a salaryman and then I, you know, opened up my eyes and now I make fucking slop for you to eat up and make you buy crap.
And I still make the amount I made when I was a salaryman.
Yeah. It's so funny. And like this never, like, it's so funny that they show this because, like, it doesn't have anything. Like, when we see the Kenzie Fit ad, like, Kenzie's a character in the movie, but this guy is not. It's just something they just show him, and it's fucking, it works because it's funny, and he talks like, oh, yeah, I used to be on Wall Street, and now he talks in, like, this so hysterically, like, Californian accent that like it could not be how someone really talks.
It does help to further like show what Anya, like the environment online that Anya is in, like where her videos when they're uploaded, like what they're gonna be alongside.
Yeah,
and so it shows like
this
what
is her
she's
scene
trying to cut through.
Yeah, like this is her scene. Yeah, we kind of see like what she's up against. And
she wants to be different from that.
Yeah. By doing magic.
by doing Slavic magic. Are we allowed to say? Is that like?
I got Slavic ancestry. I think I'm allowed to say that.
Is that like one of those like general terms that was? Okay, I don't know.
How is that a bad term though? Slavic magic.
Slavic magic is sick. I mean, it's a sick term,
yeah.
But I thought there was something about how Slavic is like a generalization of.
I think you're thinking of like Romani,
like an old word
and that would be questionable.
Well, there's the other word associated with Romani.
Yeah, that would be questionable. Yeah, but Slavic magic is just like they make cool art.
I mean, that is. I mean, yeah, they do. They do. They make the dankest, most depressing.
But yeah, this scene
I wouldn't have it any other way.
That actually, how you explain that, Zach, like that makes it work for me even more. Just like seeing what she's up against, because like this, it's funny, like making this out to be more evil, or just as evil as like the evil spirits.
Yeah. Like, it makes her situation even more depressing. It's just like...
Yeah, like, this is the
she's
world.
She's trying to genuinely bring something that she thinks matters to people, and she's so bright and cheery about it when she's actually selling on camera. There's a point she gets to where she's like actually being authentic.
Yeah,
Or at
because
least
that's
it
just like
reads
when
to
she's
me
actually
as not a real
doing.
performance.
Well, it's funny, because there's moments where she's actually doing yoga, and she's showing you all these positions. She's not even like the best at it, but it's genuine. Like she stumbles, in a scene,
Which is funny because, like, to me, I actually think that would be an angle in real life. I
right?
guess it's a hard sell, and I can see why people wouldn't buy it. But like somebody who isn't perfect at yoga, but is still knows enough to teach you, and is like giving you this personal information and stuff, and working through their mom's like or their grandmother's personal effects. Like I feel like there is actually a version of that
Zach
that
is
is
going
a
to use
successful
this.
YouTube channel.
Zach is going to use this
I
now for his own stuff.
and actually I'm gonna pivot
I'm pivoting.
hard. I think I'm pivoting,
I'm
and
going
I
to
don't have time
rapidly
for this
become this.
podcast anymore. I have to start. I have to go.
Yeah,
Uh,
hang up. On the next episode, I'm like, yeah, Zach isn't with us anymore. He's decided to start his own yoga channel. You can go watch it. He tries to arch his back up and just breaks it.
Zach
It
lost
just-
everything
Zach-
in California.
Yeah, Zach just snapped in half.
He tried to lift one dumbbell and he died.
And he fucking died. And the next scene, we get Anya, who's continuing on with these meditations from her grandmother's book. She's actually in the attic this time, just surrounded by candles. Like, yeah, there's nothing ritualistic about this. This is where she actually uses Kenzie's advice, because Kenzie says like, oh, you got to be. When she's giving her tips and everything, she's like, you got to be fearless, which is just such a general nothing term of advice. Like, you got to be like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pain
How?
is weakness leaving the body.
Yeah,
Like,
it's just like
this
these
is
words, But Anya's
really just like moving air. I can do this. Yeah.
yeah.
Bravery.
And that's what's even sadder about it, because like, yeah, Anya's like taking that to heart and doing this, and we see her surrounded by these candles like, oh honey, you don't know what you're doing. But then afterward, then she enacts this breathing ritual where as she kind of gives off these like hums, all these ghostly sounds start to join in and accompany her, and we actually see Varasha's reflection in the floor, which was really cool. Again, like
That one I thought was so sick. Yeah,
really
that's the one I was
cool.
talking
Like,
about earlier.
good use of like the camera and framing and like blocking seat, like really inventive stuff for found footage. And we're gonna see more of that in just a sec here.
Like that's something I don't think I've genuinely seen like that. I don't think I've seen that concept before. Like, oh, there is the slightest reflection from the sunlight,
Yeah, in the sunlight.
reflective hardwood floor,
Yeah, and it's
and
yeah,
there's something
maybe,
in there.
yeah, maybe you've seen that like in a mirror in a movie. Like that happens a lot.
Yes.
But this is reflecting in the floor, and it's like, this is also really good like sun-soaked horror, because most of this movie takes place during the day, and yeah, it's just like you never expect the ghostly things to happen.
Yeah, and it's like a corner of the frame.
Yeah, really, really well done. But to kind of counteract that with a scene that I don't really like all that much, there's this throat cleanse scene where Anya takes this piece of thread and she hangs it down her throat and she starts choking, and she's like struggling to, it like gets caught on something and she struggles to pull it out, and she runs into the bathroom, this is all in the same frame too. Like she doesn't pick up the camera and run with it. It never cuts away. It's all in one shot, and she runs into the bathroom and pukes up blood. It's a good scene in theory, but this piece of thread, like it's the CGI piece of thread that like floats around, and it's like, I don't know, it takes you out of it a bit. It's weird.
I didn't notice it the first time.
It's really, like, when she's holding it up, it like curls. It's really weird. It's like, that's not how that's supposed to work.
I think my interpretation was,
I hope someone got fired for that blunder.
I guess for some reason my interpretation was because it was part of her grandma's ritual that there was like, yeah, I guess looking at it again, this string does look kind of bad.
Yeah, I don't like
But
I wouldn't point it out if it was like, maybe like the third or fourth time I was watching it. It's like, oh yeah, that kind of looks weird. But no, like when I saw it for the first time, I was like, that's something's off here, and it's not because of ghosts. It's
and which part specifically? Just the part where it's going in her mouth?
yeah, when she's holding it up in the air and she's about to lower it into her mouth. It looks really odd. And it got me wondering, like, there wasn't another way we could have done this scene? I don't know. It's not bad in theory, and I like the entire scene where she's like has it stuck in her mouth is like really gross. But yeah, I couldn't get over the CGI thread for some reason. It took me out a little bit.
I don't know how I didn't notice it.
Later on that night, the camera hovers above her while she's sleeping and hovers throughout the home, and it kind of rides down the stairs. And again, I said this is a very static movie. The camera never we never have like traditional shaky cam in this film.
No.
And this is kind of like, I don't know, it's really interesting how this is done. And I even just like, I mentioned Presence before. This is how Presence is shot. Like this is how the movie is.
I've seen the trailer, and it gives it a way more like surreal feeling. I feel like that it's not shaky cam. This feels like what it is. This is what it feels like to navigate like a house in a dream.
Yeah, this is where that
like a space imagery.
Yeah, this is where that dream logic comes in. Might not. It's not really, which is fun because like how do you portray dream logic when the camera is showing you objective things almost, Is it still, are we still meant to take things non-literally in this film, in a found footage film, when the whole idea of it is to, give you a lens on reality? That's what makes me think The Outwaters is so genius. And this movie tries to take a tap at that too. And it works for the most part, but I don't like it. It brings up a nice conversation, I'll say.
A conversation about about what we expect from.
Yeah, like do we
footage?
expect found footage movies to be totally objective in what they show? Because using movie rules, like, is anything ever literal that happens in movies, or is it all just something to communicate a message to the audience? And
I feel like we've skipped ahead in the chronology a little bit, like from what we were covering before. At this point, we are firmly in this era of found footage filmmaking where I genuinely think that is less of a concern to filmmakers.
Yeah, and
idea was inspired by stuff like the Blair Witch and stuff, or Cannibal Holocaust instead. We're long past adhering to that as a rule.
And I'm so glad, honestly, that we've done that now. I feel like, like found footage movies can be a little bit more artistic with their direction. And it doesn't have to be, realism doesn't need to be a barrier. And I'm so glad that we're over the era of like everywhere the camera needs to be explained in some fashion.
Yeah, it just hampers everything. I remember with the Outwaters, we had that discussion of the Outwaters would show you things.
The reason the Outwaters
in any other movie would be a dream. It was a movie about a person who had a head wound and started seeing things, except you could see the things
them,
even though you were watching it on found footage.
And they made you, the framing of that movie was like everything, like this movie is in chronological order. They tell you that.
Right, yes.
But with this movie, it's like there's more question to it. It becomes something more that you need to piece together. there's no question that like there's nothing with time in this movie, but like, you know, things happen chronologically, but like why certain scenes are happening, why certain things are being shot aren't explained. You are kind of just supposed to go along with this whole metaphysical aspect. Like Anya rarely controls the camera in this movie. It's mostly a ghost. It's mostly a spirit, almost like it's the camera is the character of the ghost, and it's taking advantage of this very vulnerable subject. And that's what makes it work. And they don't need to tell you that directly ever. And I really appreciate that. Yeah. As this camera is hovering around the house, again, go see Presence. If you want a whole movie that is this scene, dude, that is what the movie is. And it's great. It's really good. Goes up into the attic, and for a while we just see black until the camera juts, and it jarringly just turns around, and we see Anya just standing there. And she just looks like she's in some kind of catatonic state, you know, not in control of herself. We're inching more toward like possession horror, basically. As Anya keeps trying to make her videos, she becomes more dissociative too. Like it feels like throughout this film, like pieces of her, or we start to see like only pieces of her. She's still desperate to have like everyone keep watching her. She returns to the attic another time and discovers there's another false wall. She actually takes the ball weight, or the dumbbell that Kenzie brought over when they were doing videos, and she smashes the wall with it. And this will not be the only dumbbell smashing in this film. Behind this wall are these bottles with herbs inside. And Anya, she's like, ooh, content. And she takes them and she uses them to make tea. And these are obviously like hallucinogenic herbs, and she starts to trip out, and she hallucinates like seeing herself again. Like she's not in control of the camera really in this scene. We see her like in the dark in her kitchen, and the camera pans to a doorway and she sees herself, and then it pans again and she's gone from where she was sitting. Again, like this whole scene right now is the best use of this like objective dream
loved
state.
this effect.
It's so cool. This is such a cool scene. She's like crawling on the floor as the camera just like hovers above her. Again, the camera is just this like intimidating presence, and it's the lens we see everything through. And through the doorway, we start to see multiple Anyas walk through the house. Some of them are like dancing, and some of them are looking confused. Some of them are like just screaming and laughing and crying. And then Varasha enters through the doorway, and it cuts to the next scene. But oh my God, this scene is rich. It's like it has so much texture, with the lights flickering, the thunder being heard in the background outside, and like the framing is just so inspired. And again, this is like just
the frame within a frame.
Yeah, the frame within a frame within a frame. And it's nothing you ever really see from a lot of found footage films. Just an interesting way to shoot something, honestly. Just like shoot an effect.
This is exactly what we were talking about with Outwaters. The camera, how is the camera capturing this?
Yeah, how is it capturing a hallucination?
Is it actually happening?
We can assume like this is ghost magic, you know, like this is this is like a haunting thing. Like she might be tripping inside of her head, but I don't know. It doesn't need to be literal. Like when it's a movie, because like at the end of the day, like it's still a movie. It can still do, you know, it can still break the rules and be, you know, artistic in its own way to show something, but like it can still have the quality of like filmic language, you know. But through the lens of found footage, it makes it so much more, I don't know, it brings it into a reality, no matter what it is, and it's always going to be more off-putting. And I think it's so effective for horror. Because, yeah, like in the Outwaters, you had all this crazy cosmic shit happening, and it was easier to see that as objective, obviously because they framed it as like, we didn't do anything with the footage in this movie. Whereas here, it's like, it doesn't have that framing, but it's also like, we know there's like supernatural elements happening. But how do we show what's going on in her head happening also in the frame? Because it can't just be like the ghost is trying to show us that, because that sounds
Right.
ridiculous. But there shouldn't be limits either.
It's not something I care about at all. It's actually, I mean, I think it makes it more interesting. It's like boundaries between her reality and what she's trying to capture are on camera are blending together in a way that she was not prepared for. Like she's being consumed by, she's being consumed by something else that she doesn't understand yet, but her mission objective is becoming all encompassing and is affecting every aspect of her life in a way that's like getting out of control. So it matches how she feels basically.
Yeah, that's the perfect way of articulating it. It really is. Yeah, I kind of don't have any more to add about that. I mean, it's probably the best part of the movie, most inspired part of the film. I don't know, like in something like the distinction between the old way of doing found footage, which has still had insanely effective, uses. Like in the Blair Witch Project, like realism is heightened and used to like an immense effect with, this level of anxiety, like using it all so naturally without having to really show anything specific. Whereas we're now in an era of found footage movies that are getting a lot more clever with how they use the camera. But it's like, you always have to keep in mind, like, we're not supposed to have cinematography, really. We accept, like, in regular movies, like, what's happening on screen is shot by, constructed by someone trying to communicate a tone, an idea. Whereas in found footage, it's all fiction. Like, it's like the characters that are controlling the camera and framing shots are characters in the film.
Right.
I don't think, I think the way you articulated it is very clear. I don't know. Like, I think it's one of the most interesting things going on in found footage horror, because I still think we're trying to find that perfect middle ground. And things like using sound design always works. And that's definitely a part of this. Let us know what you think. What do you think is is this a good way of going about something like this? Let us know what you think. And is it good that found footage films get more artistic with their direction, or is it, or should they stick to realism? Let us know. But yeah, moving on. Anya is still laying on the floor after her whole hallucination, and she's on the phone in the kitchen. Her mother's on the other line, but Anya is kind of toying with her. She's like kind of like in this mocking fashion. But then the real Anya enters the room, and the other one runs back upstairs. And then we get the morning after, and Kenzie's back. Anya's so fucked up at this point. Anya's clearly not herself. The shoot is really awkward again, and eventually it turns into an all-out fight. Kenzie's totally uncomfortable with the mood that Anya's in. Even when she's like trying to introduce the video, she's like, "Aren't you forgetting someone?" She's like, "Oh yeah, her." Anya is very like easily annoyed in this scene. Like, she's very sick of Kenzie's shit. And as they're like having this big fight, Kenzie reveals that her mom begged her to check on Anya so she doesn't try to kill herself again, which just adds this another layer of sadness to this whole scenario. They didn't need to add that detail, but like because they did, it just like you look back on everything else in the film, and it's just like at first there's this air of like isolation, and now there's just like this all around sadness. that's undercutting the film, and it's really well done. As Kenzie's trying to leave, she tries to grab the camera. I guess is Kenzie's. I don't know. Like, I don't know if it's Anya's camera or not.
I think it's Anya's, but Kenzie just wants to get rid of maybe her
Like evidence of her on that video.
her representation. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. And Anya just like freaks out and tries to like grabs her and basically chases her out of the house. A couple of things I want to point out in this scene. There is this low drone that starts to fade in, and there's a little bit of music throughout this movie, but it's really funny that this music is cued in almost, it like swells in exactly to the word cunt.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah. The camera, like they're moving around the room, like yelling at each other, and the camera is actually following them in interesting ways. It's like paying attention to the blocking almost.
The first time I watched it, I thought those subtle movements, the camera going left and right, were the tracking technology that cameras have now.
I don't know if
Have you
that
seen
was
these?
established, but that's what this is.
Yeah, now that you say it, it's like it probably isn't. But
I also want to
yeah,
give a
I've seen cameras that have that. But
yeah. I also want to give a shout out to Sarah J. Bartholomew's neck veins in this scene. Thought like when she's yelling at Kenzie, just like pulsate out of her, and it's like her body's morphing when she's yelling.
it's trying to burst out of her throat.
Yeah, it's like something's trying to burst out of her throat, which which like fits the movie, but also like damn. But after Kenzie leaves, we have this quick scene of Anya getting stuck on the wall, and her arm starts to stretch out like in the socket. There are
I didn't even notice that originally. Jesus.
Yeah, there are some like there's a little bit of gnarly body horror here. Damn. Yeah, and that's not even the end of it. Like, we get this scene afterward where Anya appears to be seen just like completely in the dark and arching her torso up in the air while something else films her. She wakes up in the morning and starts groaning. She grabs a knife that's just sticking out of the floor. The camera cuts to like just like the knife in the air, like stuck in the floor. It reminds me of the shoe in Nope. Like, why is the shoe
Yeah.
right? It's like the shoe is just
Why
like
is it
standing
straight
upright.
up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just another one of these scenes that's like dream logic being shown on screen. But yeah, then Anya calls her mother again. She's worried about her, but Anya only called so she can help her translate something. It's so sad because like Anya's like crying, and you feel like she's about to say like, can you like come get me, like I'm having a bad time. She's had this blowout fight with Kenzie, but no, she calls her because she wants her to translate. So she's like, can you translate this please? And she's just like begging her to too. And she wants her to come home. Her mother wants her to come home, and reveals that when Varasha died, she was like relieved because she couldn't come back for Anya. But Anya doesn't care. She's not listening to a word her mom says. She calls her by her first name. She calls her Lenka, I think is her name. It seems like throughout the film, like Anya just like never even like acknowledges what her mother says to her.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now she's like demanding that she read it because she can't translate it. So her mother tries to translate it, but she can't. She says it doesn't make any sense. And Anya just closes the laptop on her, and we see her alone in the chair in the living room. And the camera does this cool thing where it's like we see like the I guess it's FaceTime or Zoom or whatever. It's just like the webcam footage, and then when she closes the laptop, it immediately cuts to the regular cam footage, which really just kind of reveals to you like she really isn't in control of what the camera does at all, and really is just like it's meant to represent Varasha's influence.
Can I say something about the last bit But what struck me with the scene when the moment where her mom says that this is not in Russian.
Yeah.
Like she says this doesn't make sense. She says it's barely in Russian. I think part of the reason that this devastates Anya so much is that this entire time Anya thought that she was like spreading some cultural Serbian, like something that was a part of her heritage. And then it turns out that the book isn't even in Russian. It's like, it's some like devil language. Like
Yeah, I know it's like
has
black
nothing
speech or
to do
something.
with her heritage at all.
Yeah, and
And
that's it. Like she
that's the
comes to
moment
that.
where she's like truly just like,
Yeah, and she comes to that realization in a bit too, and it like, by the time it happens though, it's just too late. I do love that scene though. I love the fact that her mother calls it out like it's bare, like it's not like, oh, it's this unknown language. It's like, no, the way she describes it is like barely being in Russian and she can't read because it doesn't make sense. That's kind of scary.
yeah, no, that seems scary.
That is like its own, that's kind of its own scare, because it's like now it's diving into like the unknown, and it gives you like this good sense of dread and delusion to it, you know. And then it works when I feel like the scene has a nice like bookend with Varasha's, you know, I would call it Varasha's camera, it ending with her point of view. But after this, yeah, so we get to the scene where Anya rushes into the attic again. And on the shelf where she found the herbs before is a vial. And this vial helps her discover a key inside the book that reveals all the black magic rituals she's been sharing with her audience and her, you know, and passing it off as these wellness exercises. And she turns to this one page of like this just this like head with you know, this circle drawn through it. She kind of figures it all out there. Like, yes, she's destroying her own spirit to make room for Varasha's by doing these rituals. But as soon as she realizes that, it's too late, and Varasha just appears behind her and drags her away. This caught me off guard because I didn't think that this would all happen so quickly. So when it does, it's very jarring. But after that, Anya is...
Oh, from like this kidnapping scene.
Yeah, like I didn't think that... I thought that she would come to a realization and then like try to stop it, but it's just already too late. Like she's already like not even herself anymore, and like her enough of her spirit is already broken enough to be taken advantage of, you know. And that plays into like the very like just sad aspects of like it is like I think there needs to be, like in good horror, there needs to be some kind of tragedy and some kind of emotional stake. You know, it just can't just be like bad things happening to people you don't care about. Like we've seen Anya through this film now, and not that we ever know so much about her, but like they do a good job at like connecting you with what she's supposed to represent and how that all falls apart.
Yeah.
After this, we get Anya. She's now in the attic with her wearing her grandma's clothes, and the camera again floats around. Varasha is just filming the whole movie at this point, and it floats around her, and she's holding a knife to her head, and she struggles with it like she's trying to, you know, there's some like resistance that she's showing. She cuts right through her forehead. Blood comes gushing out. Oh, it's awful. And then, boom, another ad for Kenzie. Kenzie ad starts to play, and it's for her cream. She's also selling crap to you, because that's what these people do. There's a part in the ad where, you know, the entire time, Kenzie's always talking to the camera, but there's also an objective shot that mirrors some of the shots in the film of like Varasha filming Anya. I thought that it was just like this little moment there. I thought that was a little nice touch, where you just like see...
Is it the one from the side?
Yeah, from the side. You just see Kenzie sitting in the chair. Anya then is seen sitting on the edge of her bed. Oh my God. When the ad cuts to Anya just like sitting on her bed, bloodied, like from the ad to it's such a great cut. She's on the phone and she's on the phone. I think she's sending like a voicemail to Kenzie. She basically apologizes to her, gasses her up, and clearly just like not herself. She's speaking very robotically in this scene. Like,
it's very calculated.
Yeah, it's just not how she's talked throughout the film. And then Kenzie comes back.
Is she holding herself differently too?
Is she kind of like cradling herself in a way?
Yeah, it's like a different. I feel like she's never sat like that before, right? That's a very different, like
a different posture than she's used to. Yeah. But anyway, she also has these weird pauses too in her speech. Like it's like robotic speaking and then pause, longer pause than you would think, and then next sentence. Like she like rehearsed it or something. But yeah, then Kenzie comes back, and she apologizes to Anya and talks about how stressed she is, and this is not easy. Not easy. Her being what she does, and in this scene, she's kind of admitting that she's not like herself when she does her videos. Like, and it's funny because Anya literally is not herself right now.
Yeah.
There's a scene where even like Anya is filming Kenzie alone, kind of like how Varasha would be, just like spectating over Anya alone, which I thought was a nice touch. In this scene, Kenzie kind of like reinforces the themes of the film about, just trying to be sincere when you try to make art. She says things pretty. It's the only time in the film I thought the film was being like inelegant with its portrayal of themes, because Kenzie's literally just like saying it now. But it doesn't take away that much, and it doesn't have it. It's not that much overstuffed dialogue. Kind of subtracts anything.
I feel like it also just makes it like so much worse and darker because this entire time that Anya's about to
do something,
fuck Kenzie up.
Yeah. And that's exactly
so,
what
of course,
happens. Yeah.
It comes right as she is finally opening up and turning.
Now that the time where they can connect is when Anya is full ghost mode, is full possessed mode.
full on ghost mode.
Yeah, so then they start filming. This time they're actually like trying to do a video, and Anya is giving Kenzie like this guided meditation, and she puts Kenzie in a corpse pose, which is just her laying on the ground, coughing. Yeah. Again, Zach, this is like it's the same kind of humor as like the they/them, just like clever.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you son of a bitch. But
you had to.
You had to.
I get it. You saw a corpse pose. You knew that was a thing. And
let's add that.
It was illegal for you to not put it in the movie.
But yeah, Anya guides her, but while she's guiding her, she grabs the dumbbell, bashes her fucking head in while the camera pans away. The camera pans away. And at first I was like, no.
Let me see that shit.
I want to see the red. But you see enough of it. You see the aftermath.
I've waited so long for the red.
Yeah. But you see enough of it. I mean, you see the aftermath, and you see her fucking just brain matter splayed out across this yoga mat.
Yes.
Oh, God. Just chunks of her skull on the ground. It's
so gnarly.
It's gnarly. And Kenzie's body is just dragged away off screen by some unknown force. And Anya sits back down on just the bloody yoga mat with just these chunks of skull. And Varasha is seen then looking at Anya directly, and Anya proclaims that she's ready to receive all of her. She goes into this possession mode. She arches her torso in the air and stretches it out violently. You hear like stretch, this stretching sounds and cracking and everything. And then she just goes straight up like exorcist mode and crawls toward the camera and groans, and the wound in her head is showing. It's like the third eye, basically. And it's not the end of the movie. There's one little last scene, but the whole possession thing, like that's kind of the Hereditary part seeping in. Because if you remember, like the whole thing of Hereditary was like they were correcting the daughter's body with the son's.
Yeah, making way so that the proper soul can go in the proper body.
That's kind of what's happening here. It's the grandmother spirit here, where in Hereditary it was like the king of hell, one of the kings of hell.
One of the kings of hell.
One of the kings of hell. And so we get another quick scene. This is basically the end of the movie. Anya is seen floating in the living room. There's a different lighting here. It's not like the flat lighting of the rest of the other scenes. It's more like dawn. The lighting here is a little bit more cinematic. And she's on the phone with her mom, and she says everything's all right, and she's ready to come home. And as the camera slowly closes in on her, the movie ends, and we cut to black. And that's mind, body, spirit.
Well, actually, don't we go back out to the computer?
That's after the credits.
Or is that post credits?
Yeah, that's a post credits.
After the credits. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't really think to click, because like I don't know, as a bookend to the movie. It's like, did that really matter?
Yeah, like what the hell was that? I do like the credits. The actual credits, just shots of the empty house.
Shots of the empty house. Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
Freaky.
It's a great house. I can imagine that's, I don't know what the budget of this thing was.
It's a great house.
But it's a great house. And probably most of the budget went to locking down that location.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And it's only a few rooms too. Like we never see, like there's a bedroom, the living room, the kitchen. Are there any other? There's no like
attic.
Yeah, and the attic
that is the same attic. Could be a different place.
That could have been a different place. Yeah, but I imagine most of the budget went to locking down this location. But that's Mind, Body, Spirit. Really, really tight found footage film. It's short, but it's really effective. It's really unique. Even with its reference to many other films in the horror genre, I think it still stands tall as a very kind of like a one of a kind modern found footage horror film about influencer culture. And we'll probably get a lot more of these in the future. I can see this becoming a trend, and found footage is perfect for this type of thing. People seem to like it too. Like the critical. In terms of like the critical reception, it has a 94% on Rotten Tomatoes. Pay no attention at all to the 25% audience rating. That's worthless.
They're always wrong.
They're always wrong.
They're being paid off to freaking give those low reviews, and it's sickening to
the audience rating.
Yeah, the audience rating.
I don't think they're being paid off. I just think that they're strange.
They are strange.
That's
people.
the argument that people use for critics. Like the critics rating is inflated because it.
Yeah, that's my bit. That was my bit.
Oh, okay.
I was calling them inauthentic.
Two together. Okay. But yeah,
no, people are dumb though.
Yeah, no, people are stupid. You always know it's a banger. Like I don't know. You go to like you look at like the Green Knight Rotten Tomatoes rating, and it's like 90-something% critic rating, and then like 50-something%. It's like, yeah, that's how you know it's a fucking banger.
That's how you know it's a good movie.
Not that not that critics are always right all the time, but like that's not the point of Rotten Tomatoes either. It's just like who gave it mostly a positive review. But I'm glad that
Also, guys, let's clear this up. Let's clear this up real quick. When Rotten Tomatoes says 50% rating, that means half the people who saw it liked it.
Yeah.
And half didn't. It doesn't mean it's 50% good.
Yeah.
So 90% means that the vast, vast majority liked it. That's
Also,
not how it's
like you
taste is
can,
subjective.
but also like you can go down to like the little blurbs that critics give, and they link to like their full reviews that are full of like insights and things you might not have thought about, and well, maybe
Yeah,
this person
you
writing
can.
about this movie has a clearer frame of reference and a more articulate way of talking about art and media. And maybe I should take that into consideration before I review bomb the latest fucking Hollywood slop starring a woman or POC actor, then that's bad for some reason.
Or don't review bomb
Yeah,
at
don't
all.
review bomb
Go
anything.
outside.
Touch some grass. Touch some
Touch some
grass.
grass. Go buy yourself a hammock.
But
Go to
first,
your nearest beach.
go to your
Sorry.
closest beach in the middle of winter. But
Can
but
can I say about
first,
this movie?
Zach, watch
Oh,
Mind Body.
yeah.
First, watch Mind Body Spirit though before you
Watch
touch
Mind,
grass.
Body, Spirit.
And then
It's
listen.
really good.
And then while you're out touching grass, this is the best thing about podcasts, is that while you're touching grass, you can also consume this.
It's true.
That's right. You can
Portable.
also,
It can be
it's
in
a
your ears.
portable media, very, very
You could
cool.
also strike corpse pose.
Sure.
You
You
could
can also
bust out
corpse pose for
an,
us.
an asana wherever you are. The
I,
spirit of mind and body.
I do want to point out, and I want to make a note of this, and I want to start doing this more at the end of every episode. There is a Blu-ray release of this coming soon, so I would look out for that. You can watch it now on Shudder, but if you
Of
really
this
like
movie?
it, go buy it.
Really? Oh,
Yeah, Blu-ray of this
sweet.
movie. But if you really like it, go buy it. Go own it. Make it your own.
I forgot
Fill
to
out
mention
that
this
bookshelf.
when we were talking about it. You know what this also reminds me of? It's a very awkward place for this thought to come out, but
I'll put it somewhere.
it reminds me of this trend of stuff like Succession.
Succession.
Stick
Let's
with
see where
me.
this goes. All right, folks. Let's see
Just
where
in
this
that
goes.
leaning forward in your chairs, an entire audience. Um, so basically, thesis. I think I just noticed that there's a lot of media feeling like you came in at the end of things, in
Yeah.
that like you are the younger generation
That makes sense
and
to
you
me.
get to a position that you were supposed to be able to take over or move into, and then you find out like there's nothing, there's just nothing. All that's left is fucking natural earth slop drink or whatever, soda or whatever the hell that guy was
Oh
selling.
yeah.
Like
Hold on. What was that guy selling? Earth Energy.
earth energy. Just truly that like the culture is dead and that there's nothing left and that the soil around you has been just stripped of all its nutrients, but you're still expected to grow something there is like just
Jesus
a very
Christ, that's so
consistent
fucking
theme that
cynical of you. Or pessimistic, whichever one of those. But yeah, no, it's something.
Is what you I feel like it's a common sentiment. I feel like it comes up a
No,
lot because a
there
lot of
is
people are
truth in
feeling
it.
it.
There's truth in it. I don't know if I fully agree, but there's truth in there. I do.
Well,
I do like the
I don't
idea.
fully agree with it, but
Yeah.
it's a feeling, it's a sensation.
You're playing
It's
devil's advocate to something that I never brought up.
uh the movie brought it up.
Yeah.
That she's trying to follow in the footsteps of this like healer grandmother who also has all this like cultural connection to this homeland that she's never been to, and then she finds out, but the world can't appreciate it, and then the cherry on top is that it's bullshit.
Anyway, yeah, great
Get it
film.
on Blu-ray.
Get it on Blu-ray when it comes out. Watch it on Shudder in the meantime.
Did you? Sorry, I keep doing it. Did you
Go,
like the
go.
Asana effect at the end? I thought it was kind of sick.
Sauna
I
effect?
forget what they call that move. The last pose where she breaks her back.
Oh, it was sick. I love that shit.
Okay,
I'm a
cool.
sucker for that
Okay,
shit.
cool. Yeah, I was all about that.
Yeah, that exactly like when the arm stretching thing happened. I love the contorting of the body in movies.
Yeah,
You
it's
just
always good.
like in recently we talked about Nosferatu at the beginning of the show, like when like the way she contorts her body in that movie is like I didn't think you could do that. Damn. Damn.
Yeah, that that scene where she rips her shirt and like really goes off and starts like licking her mouth and stuff and drool comes out has been kind of ruined for me a little bit because somebody
Cuz the memes yeah, they put it to that Kendrick song.
I had the one where they posted side by side her ripping her shirt open with the werewolf ripping
Oh, I was
it's the same thing.
you know the thing that I'm talking about though, right?
No, what's the thing you're talking about?
Someone posted an Instagram story of like of that scene where she's like jutting her body around and it's set to I forget which Kendrick song, but it was something off his recent album. And it fit too well.
Nosferatu Haktua? No.
Why did you just say that? That all right. We're wrapping this thing up. If you guys like the show, please subscribe to it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your
I'm so
podcasts
tired.
from. I also started posting the episodes to YouTube too, and you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. Give us a comment, a like. Give us some feedback about the show. What do you want to see? What do you want to see us change? What do you want to see us cover? Any ways we can improve? Yeah, any feedback is good.
Well, that'd be dope if maybe we do some sort of like listener suggestion that we have to go along with or something like that, like a poll. That'd be cool.
I don't want to have to listen to these people
Or anyone.
or anyone ever. But yeah, I'm just kidding, folks.
Oh, we love you again.
We love you guys. Zach, what do you got to plug? Oh, before that, sorry, follow us on Instagram too. Just saying, yeah, follow us on Instagram.
What's our Instagram?
Dark Static Pod.
I don't have anything new to plug, man. I don't have. I've got nothing. I'm working on a play, but if you don't live in
play?
Rochester, it's not gonna matter to you.
It's worth shouting out.
So, well, I don't know if it might not happen yet, but I'm collaborating with somebody on a medical horror play. It's gonna have some immersive theater elements, and I've never done anything like that. But
Ooh, that sounds fucking
yeah,
cool.
that's the project I'm working on right now. It's for a local festival here in Rochester that takes place like late summer, called Fringe Fest. And a bunch of events throughout the week, from dance to theater to music, and all sorts of random stuff in between, take place at various venues all throughout the city.
What? That's really ambitious.
Yeah, it is very ambitious.
Damn.
I mean, some of it is like there's like acrobatic troops that were on the side of buildings one year, this building, and like doing like a routine. There's like, yeah, some of it is just like the local little theater puts on certain things, like the movie theater. It truly is anything, and you can apply to be a part of it and like kind of apply for specific venues and stuff like that. And it lasts, I think, a week, maybe a little bit longer. I can't quite remember, but
Where can people find this anywhere?
probably only matters to you if you're in Western New York or whatever. But called Rochester Fringe Fest. It's going to be September 9th through the 20th this year. I imagine most of the shows they're still going through the application phase, so I don't think that's over until like mid-April. But pretty soon you should be able to kind of get a sense of to just do like a Google search. The page, it has an official website, and you can see what all the events are going to be. But yeah, throughout the years we've had Eddie Izzard, some big names show up. Mike Birbiglia
Oh damn, I know those.
was here in
people.
2019. John Mulaney came in 2017 and did Kodak. So there's comedians, there's all sorts of stuff.
You can find me at Schiffer Audio on Instagram, Twitter, Chained God as a audio drama podcast I have going on. It is currently, I guess it's a bit of a hiatus. I'm working on it, and I'm trying to relaunch it, basically. I just need to finish all the episodes. But that is my dark fantasy, Dark Souls-inspired, immersive audio fiction podcast. You can check that out, wherever you get your podcasts from. I also have another more gothic style fantasy podcast called Blackwood, a 7-episode miniseries that's finished. Yeah, you can listen to that too. Torchlight Audio. I've launched Torchlight Audio on YouTube. That has all of Blackwood plus a couple of other short stories that you can find that I've done. Soon that I'm gonna populate that channel with a lot more work very, very soon. Yeah, that's all about it for me. You can reach out to me anyway by whether it's Instagram or Twitter. Send us an email, darkstaticpod@gmail.com as well if you have any questions or if you have any feedback. But yeah, this has been another exciting episode of Dark Static. Probably, Zach, the closest that we've gone to like doing 2 episodes back to back in a while.
Yeah.
And
you got married.
Oh yeah, I got married. All
stuff was happening.
All sorts of stuff was happening. Have you heard how much shit I've been working on?
Yeah, there's
While
so
getting
much.
married, there's so much
going
stuff.
on.
So much stuff to do.
I'm running a business.
And I work full time.
Jeez, man. Everybody needs to calm the fuck
Everybody needs to calm down, please.
Leave us alone.
We're just fooling. But
we kid.
We're kidding. Yeah, I think next we're gonna again, playing catch up here. So, but if we're gonna do VHS Beyond, we got to do all the VHS movies. So we're gonna start from the first one. Next time in the show, it's gonna be VHS. We're really excited about that episode. That is gonna be that's gonna be a really fun one. And so get ready for just next few episodes to just be stock full of VHS. We'll be in that phase for quite a while. There's 6 films we have to get through with VHS.
Oh yeah.
So we'll be on that for a while. So yeah, you can look forward to that. And as always, thank you for listening. And we'll see you next time.